Welcome to Difficult Conversation Africa broadcast. I present to you the host, Yinka Olaito.
This is Difficult Conversation Africa podcast, a platform where we unpack issues that many are afraid to talk about. And in this episode, we will be looking at trust on trial, journalism at the edge. As usual, I'll give you the background of the discussion before I introduce my guest. Journalism today stands at a critical crossroad. The rise of artificial intelligence, coupled with the spread of fake news and disinformation, has reshaped how people consume and trust information. While digital tools have opened new opportunity for storytelling, they have also blurred the lines between credible journalism and manipulated content. Traditional media struggles to adapt to shrinking revenues, while social media platforms increasingly act as unregulated news distribution. At the same time, AI tools are changing news production, raising questions about ethics, authenticity, and the future of human-centered journalism. In this uncertain landscape, journalists must rethink their roles, follow survival strategy to remain the guardian of truth and society. In dealing with this today, my guest is a journalism educator, a public affairs analyst, deputy director of Nigeria Institute of Journalism. His name is Dr. Jide Johnson. Dr. Jide Johnson, welcome to the show, sir.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the impact you are making in journalism education across Nigeria and across Africa. You are being one of those guys that I have a lot of respect for your dedication to the profession and for your unalloyed commitment to ensure that things are done properly and ethically in the journalism profession. So we go to the first question. The crossroad. Why do you think that journalism is said to be at a crossroad today? What makes this era different from previous transition in the media industry?
First and foremost, we must understand that one of the fundamental human rights that God gave to every man is the right to self-publish, which we call the freedom of expression. The freedom of expression, the freedom to give expression to your thoughts, to your views, and to your opinion. That's the first fundamental right. In the past, it used to be, but the platform for such expression at the mass level, at the public level, tend to be owned exclusively by the media. But the advent of technology, has taken away the traditional control that those in authority and those that are in the media have over the right to give expression to your views and your opinion at massive level. So we have seen the advent of social media and digital media platforms that have circumvented the traditional gatekeeping role of the media, which now gives access to everybody, which has led to the development of what many have termed citizen journalism. So as a result of that, the control that traditional journalists tend to have over the flow of information, the free flow of information and expression of thoughts and ideas is no longer there. So everybody now has an opportunity to self-publish, and which invariably has reduced the overall influence that those in authority and the media has over control of public information. So that's one of the challenges and that has put journalism at the crossroad. The second challenge, don't forget that media organizations are a business enterprise. They have an economic interest. Even though you have a social responsibility function of watching over the society, of keeping them abreast of what happened within the society, of giving voice to the voiceless, and giving platform to different sheets of opinion within the society. However, every media organization is a business enterprise. Salary must be paid. The organization must be run. and emoluments must be paid, welfare package must be given in. So how do you balance the social media function of the media with the business angle of it? As a result of that, there is need for you to find a compromise in the sense that we are operating a business model that is sustainable over a longer period of time, and at the same time, we have a responsibility to the society. Should we publish and be damned? And then at the end of the day, we go into bankruptcy, or should we gatekeep some of the things which we publish in order for us to stay afloat of our businesses? So those are some of the challenges that the media has faced over time. And it seems as if the media is at a crossroad, and many people tend to think that, do we have a need for the media with the advent of various alternative media platforms that we have now? But I can assure you that the media has always faced journalism has always faced these challenges over time, because journalism is an institution and a profession that evolved with the advancement in technology. The printing press by Gutenberg brought about newspaper, magazine, and publication. Telephone technology brought about radio transmission, and which later led to television broadcasting, evolving as a platform of communication. And then look at what internet has done, and the various media and social media platform has done to this particular profession.
So, Dr. Jide, you are saying that media is used to disruption, and it has survived all the disruption.
Exactly, it has survived. It has survived all this destruction. Don't forget that in actual sense, the media is not even the platform. The media is the people. In all other platforms, you are just using the platform. Like I did establish in my opening remark, the fundamental right that God has given and the state has given to every man. In context, now with human, we are talking to all humans. Now, is the right to self-publish. Is the right to self-publish, to give expression to your thoughts. And so you could use the platform of the newspaper, you could use the platform of magazine, you could use the platform of radio or TV, or you could use the platform of social media and digital media platforms that we have now.
One of the major shifts in the media industry now, Dr. JJ, is the AI in the newsroom. And we know that this is a major disruption. Ability to annex that and to use it effectively is also an issue. But the question is, how is artificial intelligence shaping modern journalism? Do you see it as an opportunity for efficiency or a threat to its authenticity?
Now, this is the way I love using illustration to try to drive home the point, and so that
it's fine.
Did the internet and the World Wide Web, did it disrupt journalism? Technology has always enhanced the way we communicate. Don't forget, human beings are communicative beings, and technology in pre-modern times, what are the means of communication? What are the means of communication that people use to communicate? You write on. I used to use this Twitter. The old logo of Twitter before it turned to. Everybody will know the logo of Twitter. You know, in pre-ancient times, people with scribes will write something and they will give it to birds, and bird will transport this coded message from one end to another. That's the platform with which Twitter evolved. And that's why they use that particular logo. It represented an ancient means of communicating short messages, crypted messages that could be easily interpreted. Now we use that at that time. And then so look at what the internet did, the advent of the World Wide Web in 1989, 1990. Look at what it did for communication globally. Now you and I, look at what the internet has been able to do. You and I are able to do this interview as a result of deploying technology.
Exactly.
Technology will only be a disruption for those that do not embrace it and those that do not know how to manage it. Every innovation has its own positive and negative implication. There's an ethical dilemma. There's an ethical dilemma to every innovation, every human innovation. However, understanding the technology and the tools and the right application of such tools is the responsibility of any professional. So any journalist what it's taught in this age and time must have an understanding of this tool and the ability to make use of this tool to make his life easy as a journalist. Technology are meant to make our life easier. And I used to say this. I love this illustration. I said, look, when traditionally we used to communicate through printed text, newspaper, and magazine, the advent of radio and later television disrupted and improved the way we communicate. Now we are not only communicating through words, we communicate through sign, symbol, sight, and sound. Now that's what broadcasting brought. It brought sight, sound, and motion into our ability to communicate. And then you now look at what internet has done in terms of the ability of people to communicate and for you to release whatever information you want to release at the speed of light, that anybody can have access to any information in any part of the world at the tip of his finger with his access to his smartphone and with access to internet. And which I've said, Marshall McLuhan said, with the advent of TV, that television has turned the world into a global village. But you know what the internet has turned the world into? The internet and the various, so it has turned the world into your living room. Can you imagine anybody? Can anybody live without a smartphone or without access to internet? It's absolutely impossible for you to live in this age and time without access to internet, without access to your phone, without access to your phone. So technology will bring about disruption. However, the disruption it brings about is your ability to master it and make effective use of such technology. So when people talk about AI, it's just like when we talk about the advent of computer technology. In the past, we used to type. You recall when we studied in school, it was typewriter we were using. It was typewriter.
Yeah, I know.
For those that studied before us, they were using longhand. The ability to they were using longhand and stenographers to write their report and their stories. Are you getting my point? So using shorthand and the rest of it. Now the typewriter came. It improves our ability to type our stories, and then when computer came, what happened? The secretaries of the past that do not know how to make use of computer lost their job. The secretary of the past that knew how to use the technology of the computer system, they transit from being secretary to become personal assistant, special assistant, and the rest of it.
That's true.
And the rest of it. So it's about how you make use of the technology that you have access to.
Yeah, we will come back to that because there are issues with AI. But before we get there, let's look at the issue of fake news and fake news epidemic. In your view, what factors make fake news and misinformation so powerful, and how can journalists counter them effectively in this age?
Well, if it is fake, it is not news. So I prefer the word misinformation. I prefer the word misinformation and disinformation. I prefer the word misinformation and disinformation because if it is fake, it is not news. What is news? What is current? What has been observed? A representation of mediated reality. That's what news is all about. And so if it is not something which is current, if it's not a representation of an observed reality, then it is no longer news. So as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing like fake news. What you have is misinformation, disinformation, and that is not a new phenomenon. It has been age long since before you and I were giving birth to. The issue of misinformation, disinformation is what people call in the past propaganda and the rest of it. So what people called yellow journalism, what they call sensationalism in the past, what they call tabloidization the ability, what we call click and bait today, click and bait journalism today is what we used to call tabloidization or sensationalism in the past, or yellow journalism. Ability to embellish your stories, moving from the not having what we call a mixture of facts and fiction, which we call faction. There's an element of truth and there's an element of fiction in what you have written. So it's been part and parcel of journalism practice, even before now. But what made it worse, like I said today, is that everybody now is a journalist. Everybody now has an opportunity to self-publish because he has access to the internet. He has a platform to disseminate his views and opinion to as many people, to a large audience, at a global level, unlike before.
Yeah, Dr. JJ, I like this perspective that you brought in. That when it is fake, for you it is not news. And the other thing that I'm picking out from this is the fact that there's nothing news under the heaven. That what we now is about nomenclature. What we now have fake news and all of that had always been there in tabloidization and all of them. And I think people need to think critically about this. And I think this is an aspect that scholars need to begin to push, that nobody should be jittery because of fake news or whatever. They have always been there. It's just that it's just a change of name and nomenclature.
You remember those days, Lagos, Lagos, Lagos weekend. That used to be published by Spear and the rest of this. All those. So it's been part and parcel. It's been part and parcel of what we do in the past. It's just a new name given to it, and it operates at a massive level.
Then, exactly, I think that is the right thing. The impact is now global. Before, all those stabilization can only stay within a region where such are sold, such news items are sold. But now it can go viral and become a global thing. That's just the impact is much more than what it used to be. So we look at this one, which is really important to me: trust deficits. Public trust in media is declining worldwide. What practical steps can news organizations take to rebuild this credibility?
Someone said, once trust is lost, all is lost. And the major asset of the media is its credibility, the ability of the audience to rely on whatever they are exposed to via the media. However, like I pointed at, economic interest, political interference, as are beginning to have overwhelming influence on media coverage of issues, on media coverage of issues. The media has become what I call partisan rather than being detached. Now, the media has had an ideological bent. Now you see media organization having ideological bent, and whereas the media is meant to be the center of the center. Now, it's like a pendulum. It's like the direction of the story will determine where the media will swing per time. Sometimes so the media will swing to the left, sometimes the media will swing to the right, depending on the coverage of the story. But we have seen that some media organization can be categorized as media on the left, and some can be categorized as media on the right.
Media on the right.
Which has given them. So, for example, if I am on the right, there's a tendency for me to consume. There's a tendency for me to consume the media that project and promotes my biases.
Yes, sir.
And if you're on the left, there's a tendency for you to promote and project the media that
is on the left,
operates within the spectrum of your biases. Now, the media is meant to be center of the center. The media is not meant to have an ideological bent. The media is not meant to be partisan. The media is meant to represent social reality as observed, as observed. And any other thing, like I said, there's what I call the race of journalism. The race of journalism is reports, reports, announcement, commentary, and reports, analysis, commentary, and then editorial. Any other thing apart from report is an opinion. Any other thing apart from report is an opinion in the media landscape. The majority of the contents of what we have on the media landscape today are no longer reports, but commentaries, analysis, and editorial. And as a result of that, it is what I want to remember the name. Brian McNair wrote a book on political communication. It is what he termed as author journalism. That any other thing, commentaries, opinion, and what have you, these are, he call it the strand of journalism that expresses the bias of the journalist, not reflecting observed reality of what happens in the site. So majority of the content that we have in the media are representing the views of the journalist and not the observed reality, which what reports are meant to represent. As a result of that, we have a lot of trust deficit that you can begin to categorize journalists, or you can begin to categorize media. I like to use American media organization, and then I will use Nigerian media organization. For example, Fox News, CNN.
Yes, we know where they belong.
MNBC. Now, if the audience, without even listening to your news story, is able to categorize you and pigeonhole you over time, what do you think will happen? Or we come to Nigeria, I talk about TVC, I talk about channels, I talk about Arise.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point?
Yes,
when I talk about all these media organizations, it shows where they are leaning to, which invariably affects their trust index with the audience. So, for example, if I want to consume a news about a political party, I go to TVC News. Exactly. Yeah, I want to be pro-government, I go to TVC News. If I want to be anti-government, I go to Arise TV. It shouldn't be so.
Exactly.
The media, like I said, the media is meant to be the center of the center. And it is the direction of the news covered that will determine where the media will swing to, whether the media will swing to the left or whether the media will swing to the right.
Dr. JJ, there's, in fact, for saying that, I would have loved to ask, what is journalism educators do, like you, doing about? And that will lead us to the ethical issues, the ethical dilemma, particularly with regards to AI. Now, you have said that the media should be center of the center, not in one side of the field. But there are ethical issues now. It means that there are ethical issues that journalism educators like you must help us resolve. Otherwise, it will not grow better. We will be getting worse each day. So, in one thought, what are journalism educators like you doing about this anomaly?
Well, for example, what's our national policy on communication? It starts from what policy do we have? What type of environment do we provide or do we create for the media to thrive as a business enterprise? What platform? What? So these are the things that we need. You can teach the student, and the student will go out into the industry. If they go into the industry, what are the welfare packages that we have? What are the welfare packages that we have for journalists? How much are salary? How much are journalists being paid? How much salary are being paid? Now, what kind of incentives are there for them as an individual journalist, and is for them as a business enterprise that government has provided? You know, what are the infrastructure? For example, let me just put it to you. I establish a newspaper. I have to run that newspaper. I have to power that newspaper. I have to circulate that newspaper. Now, when there is a downturn in the economy, when there's a depression in the economy, the media industry too is depressed. So the state of your economy is a factor. You know, there's a common saying in our local parlance that an hungry man is an angry man. An hungry man cannot think straight. An hungry man cannot think straight. And now I have to pay the school fees of my children. I have to pay my
You
bills.
have your house
I have to
rent
do
issue
this.
too.
I have and all of that. And at the same time, there's no money to do that. And somebody is offering me brown envelope.
And you are not talking of a balanced story.
Someone is offering me perks. Even let's say I rejected the first year, I rejected the second year, I reject it. So let me put it using one statement made by our president when he was contesting for the election, and I'll bring it to journalism perspective. Say na statistic we go chop, say na ethics. So a journalist will just say na ethics we go chop. Are you going to? Is it ethics that is going to put food on your table? I'm being real. We just have to be real
Exactly,
about the
exactly,
challenges,
exactly.
that we are facing.
Yeah, Dr. JJ, I do know that Nigeria journalists face a lot, and thank you for that. Just one word on AI. You know, we have talked about AI, ethical issues about AI. You know, AI is capable of writing articles, generating images, or even creating deep fakes. Where should the ethical boundary of technology in journalism be drawn now?
Now, one of the fundamental principle of building your credibility of your media organization is attribution of your sources. Attribution of
Yeah.
your sources. Now, it's unethical for you not to attribute your sources. That is that is not your own original contribution. It's unethical. That's where the ethical dimension comes in. Now, it's important for you what we call full disclosure. Full disclosure. This story was generated by AI,
Okay.
modified by Jide Johnson, generated by AI and modified by Jide.
Hmm.
Are you getting? Are you getting it? So
Johnson.
anybody reading the
That,
story have an
oh, now
understanding.
it's
So
very clear.
attribution of your sources. You can use technology. Technology is meant to make life easier. And in academics, you know what we call it? If you don't attribute your source, that's plagiarism. That's the highest form of crime you can commit. Taking credit for what does not belong to you. And it's the same thing in journalism. We just call it attribution. You don't take credit for what is not your own. You only take credit for what is your own. So now you have deployed a particular technology in generating your stories. Now, you must provide your own human
Side of the story.
dimension to the story that, well,
Okay.
this story was generated by Susu, but it was moderated by me. And I think we need to begin to teach and we begin to emphasize this with our students and practitioners alike. Technology is meant to make our life easier, but it doesn't mean that it should make us lazy.
Yeah. Dr. JJ, let's talk about regulation and free press. Should government or international bodies regulate AI and misinformation, or would that pose risk to press freedom too?
Well, I'm an advocate of self-regulation. Now, in fact, journalism came to challenge the authority. In the past, the kings,
Okay.
the clergy were those that have control over the flow of information within any given society in pre-modern times. The control of information were by the clergy and by the monarchy. However, the Gutenberg Revolution brought about the ability of people to give expression to their thoughts and their views. And as a result of that, the control that the clergy and the monarchy had over sharing of information and ideas was lost with the advent of the print medium, books, newspaper, magazine, and the rest. So I'm a product of self-regulation. And I strongly
Regulation.
believe that the ultimate controller and regulator of all things are the people, are the audience. How many media organizations are no longer in existence? How many newspapers, you and I, how many newspapers did we grow up to meet? Where are they today? How many radio stations were in existence while we are growing
That's
up? Where
true.
are they today?
That's true.
Ultimately,
That's
the
true.
people,
That's true.
the audience, they know better, not those in authority. We can't replace what the media came to challenge with another set of authority. The media exists as an institution of taking over control from those in authority and giving that control back to the people, we can now take the control away from the people, and that's what led to the development and evolution of democracy as a system of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now we cannot now take out the media away from the people and now give it to those that are meant to represent the people.
Because of our time, let me merge these two questions. You are a journalism educator of note. So my concern is, what kind of mindset should journalism school be teaching to prepare next generation to changing landscape? That's number one. And I want to merge it with the next one, which has to do with diversity and inclusion. In fighting misinformation, how important is it to amplify diverse voices and perspective in journalism?
Well, let me start from the second one. Well, what is we say objectivity is not possible, and the only way we can have objectivity is for you to have a balance, ensuring that all shades of opinion and views are represented in your report. And so, journalism even is it's journalism as a profession and in practice is diversity exemplified, is inclusion exemplified. We always say this: majority will have their way, minority will have their say. The right of reply is given to everybody. Is given to everybody, regardless of the number, regardless of the number, regardless of how minute that view is, it must be represented. That's why we said one-sided story does not give a true picture of the story. We said a two-sided story gives a picture. So every view must be instructed. Every shade, every strata of the society must be covered. And that's why you see journalism is the first profession that embraces diversity, inclusion. That's the profession. The second one is that, which is what I shared as my own philosophy. Now, journalism, it's a passion, it's a call. And if you don't have the passion and the call for journalism, don't come to journalism. Journalism is not a profession that makes you rich. It does not make you poor either. It does not make you poor either. Journalism gives you influence. So if you want to be a change agent, if you want to live for something, if you want your life to be a life of legacy, a life of making meaningful impact and contributing to societal human development, then come to this profession. In the short run, you might not
make all the money.
You cannot make all the money. Journalism does not make you rich. Journalism does not make you poor. Journalism makes you wealthy. I know what wealth is. Wealth is having access to all you need. Having access to all you need, meeting all your needs. And that's the mindset that I give to my students. That look, what journalism will do for you is it will give you influence. It will make your life, at the end of the day, when you look back your life 20, 25 years down the line, and you look at the life that you have lived, you say, indeed, I've come to this world to leave a mark. And if you are not ready for that, please don't come to journalism profession. If you want to make money as early as possible, you go to other professions like banking, like law. It's like somebody, listen, it's like somebody to want to do medicine and he says, I want to become rich. Now, somebody that wants to do medicine does not have a rich mindset. It's about changing lives. It's about improving the healthcare. It's about saving lives. Are you getting me? So it is the right mindset. It is the right mindset that makes you to succeed in whatever profession you have chosen. And for journalism, you must have the mindset of a social advocate, of standing for something, of having passion and desire for better society.
Dr. Jide, I like the point at which we are going to conclude, that journalism is a passion. If you want to be a billionaire overnight, a Bill Gates, I think that you need to re-examine your opinion about all these. And I must commend your effort being a journalism educator of note, and for that kind of mindset that you are transmitting to students that come across your line of operation. I want to say thank you, Dr. JJ, for this opportunity, for the insight shared, and I want to say thank you for the work you do. We're going to have a part 2 soon to this, so because of our time, we want to say thank you for your time this time around. To our listener, we want to say thank you. Our topic today had been journalism at crossroad, and our guest has been Dr. Jide Johnson, a public affairs analyst, a journalism educator of note, the deputy director at Nigeria Institute of Journalism. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast website, which is www.difficultconversationafrica.org. See you in the next edition, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for listening to this episode. For inquiry, please send an email to info@difficultconversationafrica.org. Telephone 0809 3160591. Please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Difficult Conversation Africa. See you soon.